Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on another one of my videos. Today we're going to be doing another board game how-to video. Today we're going to be talking about Pandemic. I promise it's a lot less scary than what we've experienced from 2020 onwards. It is a very fun game. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually my brother-in-law's favorite board game. I could be wrong, but it is a lot of fun. But before we continue, I just want to tell you about the sponsor of this video. Hey guys, before we carry on with this video, I just want to shout out the sponsors of this video, and that is Solar Pop. Solar Pop are distributors here in South Africa that distribute board games and card games with the goal and intention of bringing friends and families together. Just a few of the board games I've played through my interactions with them include Dungeons and Dragons, Pandemic, Ticket to Ride, and then also, not to be forgotten, Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza, which honestly, don't knock it till you try it. I love that game so much. In fact, I think I got so invested and so passionate in that game, I genuinely think I traumatized my dog with how loud I got. But guys, if you are at all interested in other board games or card games like this, then definitely check out Solar Pop. Their details are in the description down below. So yes guys, Pandemic is about you and a few of your closest friends ultimately coming together to save humanity from some deadly viruses. In Pandemic, you and your fellow players are members of a disease control team. You must work together to develop cures and prevent disease outbreaks. This is a cooperative game. It means you will be working together. So you win together or you lose together. The most difficult part of any board game is of course the setup, but we're going to try lay this out as simply as possible. Step 1 is of course setting out the board and its pieces. Place the board within easy reach of all players. Put all the 6 research stations and disease cubes nearby. Separate the cubes by color into 4 supply piles and place 1 research station in Atlanta. Place the outbreaks marker on the 0 space of the outbreaks track. Place the 4 cure markers vial side up, near the discovered cure indicators. Place the infection rate marker on the leftmost 2 space of the infection rate track. Shuffle the infection cards and flip over 3 of them. Put 3 disease cubes on the matching color on each of these cities. Flip over 3 more cards. Put 2 disease cubes on each of these cities. Flip over 3 more cards and put 1 disease cube on each of these cities. Place these 9 cards face up on the infection discard pile. The other infection cards form the infection desk. Shuffle the roll cards and deal 1 face up in front of each player. Place the matching colored pawns for these rolls in Atlanta. Take the Epidemic cards out of the player's deck, shuffle the other player cards, which are city and event cards, then deal cards to the players to form their initial hands. Give cards according to the number of players. So, number of players per game equals cards. So for example, for a 2-player game, everyone gets 4 cards. For a 3-player game, everyone gets 3 cards. And for a 4-player game, everyone gets 2 cards. Set the game's difficulty level by using either 4, 5, or 6 Epidemic cards for an introductory, standard, or heroic game. Divide the remaining player cards into face-down piles, as equal in size as you can, so that the number of piles matches the number of Epidemic cards you are using. Shuffle 1 Epidemic card into each pile face down. Stack these piles to form the player deck. Now it comes to actually finally playing the game. Each player's turn is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is do 4 actions. Part 2 is draw 2 player cards. And finally, step 3 is infect cities. After a player is done infecting cities, the player on their left goes next. Your hand can have city and event cards in it. City cards are used in some actions and event cards can be played at any time. So we mentioned that players can take up to 4 actions for each turn. You can select any of the following combinations. You may do the same action several times, each time counting as 1 action. Your role's special abilities may change how an action is done. The first type of action you can do is a movement action. The first type is to drive or ferry, which is to move to a city connected by a white line to the one you are in. Next is direct flight, where you can discard a city card to move to the city named on that card. Then you get charter flight. Discard the city card that matches the city you are currently in and move to any city. And finally, shuttle flight. Move from a city with the research station to any other city that has a research station. Then we get other actions, such as build a research station, discard the city card that matches the city you are in to place a research station there. The next action is to treat disease. Remove one disease cube from the city you are in. If this disease color has been cured, and we'll be talking about discovering a cure next, remove all cubes from that color from the city you are in. If the last cube of a cured disease is removed from the board, this disease is eradicated. Flip its cure marker from its vial side to its non-existent side. Next, you can share knowledge. You can do this action in two ways. Number one, give the city card that matches the city you are in to another player, or number two, take the city card that matches the city you are in from another player. The other player must also be in the city with you. The next action you can do is discovering a cure. At any research station, discard 5 cards of that same color from your hand to cure the disease of that color. If no cubes of this color are on the board, this disease is now eradicated, and once again you can flip its cure marker from its vial side to its non-existent side. After your 4 actions, you then have the ability to draw 2 cards together from the player deck. If you are about to draw and there are fewer than 2 cards left in the player deck, the game ends and your team loses. So you have to make sure that you complete the game before your cards run out. There are different types of cards that you get, and the first type we're going to be talking about are epidemic cards. If your draws include any epidemic cards, immediately do the following steps in order. Number 1, increase. Move the infection rate marker forward 1 space on the infection rates track. Number 2, infect. Draw the bottom card from the infection deck. Unless its disease color has been eradicated, put 3 cubes of that color on the named city. If the city already has cubes of this color, do not add 3 cubes to it. Instead, add just enough cubes so that it has 3 cubes of this color, and then an outbreak of this disease occurs in the city. We'll be talking about outbreaks soon. If you cannot place the number of cubes actually needed on the board because there are not enough cubes of the needed color left in the supply, the game ends and once again your team has lost. Number 3, intensify. Reshuffle just the cards in the infection discard pile and place them on top of the infection deck. Next we get to infections. Flip over as many infection cards from the top of the infection deck as the current infection rate. Flip these cards over one at a time, infecting the city named on each card. To infect a city, place 1 disease cube matching its color onto the city. If the city already has 3 cubes of this color, do not place a 4th cube. Instead, an outbreak of this disease occurs in the city. Again, we'll be talking about outbreaks soon. Now we'll be talking about outbreaks. When a disease outbreak occurs, move the outbreaks marker forward 1 space on the outbreaks track. Then place 1 cube of the disease color on every city connected to the city. If any of them already has 3 cubes of the disease color, do not place a 4th cube on those cities. Instead, in each of them, a chain reaction outbreak occurs after the current outbreak is done. When a chain reaction outbreak occurs, first move the outbreaks marker forward 1 place. As a result of outbreaks, a city may have disease cubes of multiple colors on it. And then we get the turn end. After infecting cities and discarding infection piles, your turn is over. The player on your left then begins and you start all over again. Now we're going to be talking about events cards. During a turn, any player may play events cards. Playing an event card is not an action. The player who plays an event card decides how it is used. Event cards can be played at any time except in between drawing and resolving a card. Next, we get player cards. When playing the introductory game, which is 4 epidemic cards, place your cards face up in front of you for all players to see. However, when you're playing the standard, which is 5 epidemic cards, or heroic, which is 6 epidemics, keep your cards private, so everyone has information to contribute to play discussions. Finally, we're going to be talking about how the game ends. Of course, we've mentioned how players can lose, but let's talk about how players can win. The players win as soon as all cures to all 4 diseases have been discovered. The players do not have to eradicate all 4 diseases to win, they just have to cure them. Once all diseases are cured, the game ends and the players win immediately. However, there are 3 ways for the game to end with the players losing. 1, if the outbreak marker reaches the last place of the outbreak's track. 2, if you are unable to place the number of disease cubes actually needed on the board. Or 3, if a player cannot draw 2 player cards after doing his actions. So that's how you play Pandemic, but we still need to go over the roles. There are a total of 7 different roles that players can play. Each player has a role with special abilities to improve your team's chances. Number 1 is the contingency planner. The contingency planner may, as an action, take an event card from anywhere in the player discard pile and place it on his roll card. Only 1 event card can be used on his roll at a time. When the contingency planner plays the event card on his roll card, remove this event card from the game instead of discarding it. Next, we get the dispatcher. The dispatcher may, as an action, either 1. Move any pawn if the owner agrees to any city containing another pawn, or move another player's pawn if the owner agrees, as if it was his own. The dispatcher can only move other players' pawns. He may not direct them to do other actions, such as treat diseases. Next, we get to the medic. The medic removes all cubes, not just 1, of the same color when doing the treat disease action. If a disease has been cured, he automatically removes all cubes of that color from a city simply by entering it or by being there. This does not take an action. The medic also prevents placing disease cubes and outbreaks of cured diseases in his location. Next, we get the operations expert. The operations expert may, as an action, either build a research station in his current city without discarding or using a city card, or once per turn, move any research station to any city by discarding any city card. We have 3 left, and the next one is the quarantine specialist. The quarantine specialist prevents both outbreaks and the placement of disease cubes in the city she is in, and all cities connected to that city. She does not affect cubes placed during setup, however. The second to last one is the researcher. When doing the share knowledge action, the researcher may give any city card from her hand to another player in the same city as her, without this card having to match her city. The transfer must be from her hand to the other player's hand, but it can also occur on other player's turns. And finally, we get the scientist. The scientist needs only 4, not 5, city cards of the same disease color to discover a cure for that disease. And that is how you can play Pandemic. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please give this video a like and do not be afraid to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can check out the links on this video right now for more videos like this, and I hope to see you again in another board game how-to.